That scared me. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the very next episode of The Remedy with Tova Sido and
Janice Gaunt and
Tom Bridwell.
Woot woot.
Spring break. We all lived through it.
Yep.
Well,
It was
I survived.
borderline for Tova.
Yeah, I was at Dreams Resort in Cancun with a bunch of seniors from Hillcrest High School and every other school from Dallas, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brutal.
It was a big ask.
We went to the Big 12 basketball tournament, and
That's so fun.
this friend of mine, he got our tickets for us through the Alumni Association at Tech. He actually talked to the people for us, and we were 5 rows from the floor, and we were probably all the media were right below us, so we were probably we were on row 5, and then we were like 3 and 4 were our seats in, and so it was like right about where the free throw line was. That's where we
amazing.
were. It was so much fun.
I bet it was electric.
You just can't believe all the people.
How fun.
It was really fun.
And Tom went and did Aspen, so you're very
Snowmass.
lucky. That's even better.
Yes.
I love Snowmass.
I'm not a big
is my
fan of Aspen, so
No.
I don't like to say that I went there because I didn't.
Snowmass is my favorite ski mountain in the world.
It's pretty righteous.
Yep.
And
a good
Colorado had amazing conditions, and like I was saying earlier, there was hardly any people there. There was not a big
blows my mind.
Wasn't crowded like
yeah,
Monday.
I'm shocked too.
I'm sure it will be this weekend.
Wow. Well, you
Yay.
played it right.
Yeah.
I drove 15 hours straight all by myself.
Did you like that?
No.
Why?
Because Maureen and Betty flew home to get ready for school a day early, and I brought Frankie and the car back home by myself.
Frankie.
So I drove 15 hours on Saturday. It was
I
intense.
love road trips. I would have loved that. I would have loaded up all my podcasts.
Not me. I don't want to be in the car for 15
9
hours.
a.m. to 2 a.m. 9 a.m. to 2 a.m.
I couldn't have done that. I could do 5 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I can't do 2 a.m.
Tom Gant would like that. Tom loves to drive, and I mean, I just
It wasn't terrible, but man, I'm so glad it's over.
it's just you just you know.
Man, if I can fly first class, why would I sit in the front seat?
Reminded me of being in college.
I love me a good road trip.
You do.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
In fact, Topher and I were talking about George going to school in the fall, and we're talking about taking his car. I was like, I'll drive it.
Yeah.
I'll drive the car and George up to Virginia. I mean, that just sounds like so much fun to me.
Oh, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we need to thank our sponsor today, Alex Verson, dear friend of mine. Just a sweetheart, and this is probably the 5th episode that he has.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, and he's the one who gave us the idea for this. He sent me this article and said, "Well, you guys, I'm going to sponsor an episode, and will you please talk about this?"
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So please keep doing that. If you are a listener and you come across something that you're like, oh, I would love to hear Tova and Janice's perspective and Tom's on this, send it to us and sponsor an episode. We make it really easy. All you have to do is Venmo. That's it.
That's it.
It's a couple of clicks on your phone. So please, please, please do it. We love it and appreciate it. And Alex, we love and appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So he sent us an article on attachment styles, benefits of attachment or non-attachment. And he asked if we talk about it. So you know a lot about attachment, non-attachment, benefits of non-attachment. So I would say let's just start by defining what is non-attachment and why is that the goal? So I'll read a little bit.
Go ahead.
And then why don't you speak to it?
Okay.
If you don't mind.
No, be great.
Okay. Non-attachment is not about being a cold or emotionally dead brick wall. Instead, it's about learning how to let go of the thoughts and emotions that create suffering. Once we can stop being so attached to our thoughts, we experience tremendous relief, inner peace, and what does that word say? Pervading sense of joyful well-being. I don't have my glasses on, so this is really fuzzy. So how do we let go of our thoughts and emotions? We must learn to observe and disentangle ourselves from our thoughts through practices such as mindful awareness, meditation, and self-inquiry. When we can simply allow life to unfold naturally without being attached to outcomes, beliefs, feelings, or opinions, then we experience true non-attachment. Picture this process of detachment like being an ice cube that slowly melts down into a puddle of flowing water. Water, like the practice of non-attachment, flows with life effortlessly and peacefully, whereas ice cubes do not. The goal of non-attachment, therefore, is to become like water. Non-attachment is about letting go of everything, both physical and spiritual. Both physical and non-physical, or what spiritual teachers such as Eckhart Tolle refer to as dying before you die. At first, this sounds scary, but dying before you die really only means letting go of everything that is preventing you from finding what is true, eternal, unchanging, and forever present. So, what are your thoughts about non-attachment, attachment?
Well, I think that there's a couple ways to look at it. One of the ways that I will think about it is, what have I allowed to attach to me? So in other words, if I
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, if I allow let's say my emotions to run amok, and I continue to go back into those emotions. And although I do think it's very important to feel your feelings, but we can get so enmeshed with them that I think our feelings need to kind of pass through us as opposed to become us. That I think that's a lot of times people who have a lot of anger, they've allowed that anger to attach to them emotionally, psychologically, probably physically too, to the point that what was maybe the size of a peanut had grown into a walnut by us keep going over it and over it and over it and ever. Like a lot of times when people are let's say somebody has done something and has been unkind, or somebody gossiped about us, and you get so upset about what that other person has done that it becomes attached to us. Their behavior becomes attached to us because we won't stop thinking about it and feeling like a victim and all of those things. So I think that it's that we become attached to things, but things become attached to us. And when things are not beneficial to us, then that's something that we want to practice letting go of. And a lot of that is about changing your behaviors and your thinking, or what comes out of your mouth. We will reattach those things that we're trying to get rid of by going over it and over it and over it and over it again.
I really like that thought process. Like, not only what are we attached to, but what's attached to us. The interesting thing about you just saying that is a couple of thoughts about other people came to my mind.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it reminded me how, like, when I used to work at Highland Park Methodist and I would preach from the stage, I would see people nudging their spouse or their kids, about something that I said. And I thought how easy it is for us to see, probably easier for us to see attachment in others more than it is to see how that is actually affecting us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because really the first thought was a mom that was on this trip who was like so attached to her political views and so attached to her opinions that it affected her attitude, her perspective, her judgments. And it made the trip like I didn't want to spend any time with this person.
Yeah. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
But it's so easy for me. And then I had to stop myself and say, okay, but what about you, Tova?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's the encouragement I would give is when we go through this, try not to, for our listeners to think about how this affects them, not necessarily affects everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy to point fingers.
Yeah, and I think that along with the attachment thing is the expectation that we become so attached to because we want other people to do it our way, or we want whatever it is that we are so attached to. We have the expectation that it needs to change. So then rather than sitting in reality, and even if you're thinking, this reality that I'm experiencing right now just really sucks. It's something happened and it just sucks. So, but you can become so attached to that that you have the expectation that it's always going to be like that. If somebody breaks up with you, if you're dating somebody and they break up with you, and you just have the expectation that you'll never, ever, ever find that again. So then you are attached to the negative expectation, and guess what happens? Then you create it.
Yeah, you create that negative outcome.
Yeah. So that's the thing about it, attachment. When I first started going to Al-Anon years ago, one of the things that the program talks a lot about is letting go of the feelings and the thoughts that we are having so that they don't become our reality and that they don't become people that are holding on to it so tightly that they just can't let it go. They won't forgive. They won't forget. They won't, if somebody hurts their feelings, then you're just, it keeps you so stuck.
I loved the word victim that you used too, because I see a lot of that in people. It's like the expectation is that they're going to get hurt. They're going to be disappointed. They're not going to get the job. I could not think more opposite about life, the outcome. Like I always think the best thing's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the best thing doesn't always happen, but but the people who have a victim or negative outlook and expectation, those are very difficult people for me to be around.
Yeah. Well, for the most part, they're just pitiful.
Yeah.
Poor pitiful me. And they just feel like look what the world's done to them instead of experiencing, and a lot of people experience a lot of really, really, really difficult things.
Sure.
Like for you, Tova, with your 2 children that passed away, that you could have held on to that so tightly that you could have become a very bitter, angry, probably ill person. Yeah. But you did not allow that to attach to you. You will never forget it, and you don't want to. Those children are still in your heart,
of course.
But the experience of losing that was so painful, it could have turned you into a Debbie Downer for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But you've done a great job of that, and it is a choice.
It is a choice, and I think that's probably something that we're going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about 6 ways to non-attach. So if attachment is not the healthiest thing for us, how do we become non-attached? Is the practice. And then next week, we're going to talk about what are some benefits of not attaching to things, people,
emotions,
material things,
thoughts.
Even though I kind of like your shoes, I'd like to attach myself to your shoe closet.
Yeah, well, you can't.
Mostly because you probably wear a 6 and I have a big old foot.
I do wear a 6.
Yeah, because you're teensy tiny. I have my shoe's at 8.
It is
8.5. I tell my
Really?
parents that I think I was malnourished. I think I'm supposed to be like 5'7", 5'8". But instead I had honey
so
buns
that it
and
would
crunch
match
berries.
those feet.
Yeah, I had big feet.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay, so why don't you tackle number 1?
Okay.
How do we non-attach? Number 1.
Stop looking for happiness in external things. Now, this is kind of hard, isn't it, a little bit? When we chase happiness by believing that someone or something outside of ourselves can make us happy, we suffer. In fact, the pursuit of happiness is the greatest form of attachment there is in society. Instead, try to direct your attention inwards. At first, seeking happiness from within. Involution. I've never heard that word.
Me neither.
Can be extremely difficult as we've been conditioned to find happiness in material things, accomplishments, titles, and people. But with practice, you will start to find the peaceful center within you known as your soul. Regularly setting aside time to be quiet and still with yourself can help you tune into this inner space.
I think this is difficult.
It's very difficult because I think that we are so accustomed to
It's not the way the world works.
thinking that happiness is something that we've got to make or something that we're going to get or some
Accomplishment.
a person that's going to treat us exactly the way we always want to be treated and all of that, rather than allowing the thoughts and the emotions that are associated with that as they pass through us, then therein is where you find the joy or the happiness. And it's just, but it's a practice. It definitely is. People just think, oh my gosh, I just die if I don't get that boyfriend or blah, blah, blah. And we just can't allow people to determine that
Our joy.
Yeah.
So honestly, I mean, I think about material things, and how easy it is. I mean, shopping therapy is a practice that many people do,
Yeah.
Or you're having a bad day and so, well, let's go have a nice dinner. And so we or somebody gets a promotion and, everybody celebrates. And so it's like society has taught us that attachment to these things makes us feel better.
Well, I think it does. I think
That's what I'm saying. I also agree.
Yeah, but I don't think that's bad. I don't think that it's bad for people to enjoy something that brings them joy. They can be in joy with things
without the attachment to the thing.
Without thinking I need more and more. I think the attachment sets in when you feel like I've got to do more, I've got to go more, I've got to get more, I got to want more clothes, more handbags or whatever it is, But
so it's when it becomes insatiable?
Yeah, I think so. But I think, I can remember when I was a little girl in the First Baptist Church of Brownfield, Texas, and I can remember the elders Elder Trottadot was one of the. It was
That
the
sounds like a
Mormon.
made-up.
It was Mormon. He was. It was. But I know. But his name was Elder Trottadot. But
Sounds like a character.
But their whole. They would stand up in front of the church, the missionaries, and they just had terrible hair and terrible clothes and bad shoes, and they just were not at all cute at all or pretty. And I can remember sitting there thinking, well, don't put me in that. I don't
want to be a missionary.
I don't want to be a missionary because I did. I attached somewhat to that, to not wanting that, and there's nothing wrong with that until it starts to, really affect you in a negative way, like you run out of money or you just can't. It's insatiable. But it was interesting because I can remember thinking, I do not
You've
want...
told that story, and it makes me laugh every time.
Yeah.
Like, please don't turn me into one of those. Please don't make me be a missionary.
Please don't. Yeah, well, I'm not.
No. I do think it's a healthy balance.
Yeah, it totally is.
Because
yes.
All three of us, and I think most of our listeners, if they're honest with themselves, enjoy nice things.
Yeah.
And want
nothing wrong
nice
with
things
that.
and work hard for nice things. But I agree, when it becomes, I think when the difference in my brain is when those things define you, when it's an insatiable need because it defines Tova, then I think that becomes a dangerous.
Yeah, and you said
sitch.
when it becomes a need as opposed to a desire or a want.
Yeah.
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 Like
I want to be successful. I want to make good money. I want to go on nice vacations. I want to accomplish a lot, but those things don't rule everything about me.
Yeah, no.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay, Tom, you want to read number 2?
Sure.
Oh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Uh-oh. You're fuzzy. Do you hear fuzzy?
Can you hear me?
Oh,
Now I
do.
can.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 2, let go of the shoulds and musts. How do you approach life? Are the words should and must a big part of your vocabulary? Expectations, which are mental attachments, are always prefaced with one of these 2 words. For example, he should be nicer. I must achieve this or I will be a failure. They should stop doing that immediately. Pay attention to the use of these words and how they affect you in your behavior. And how they reflect in your behavior. Are you believing that something should happen to someone, must be a certain way, or someone must be a certain way? Let it go. You cannot change people. Allow life to flow without imposing useless expectations onto it.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate the word should. You should be doing something.
Yeah, I use it all the time when I'm meeting with people. What you taught me. If you live your life doing what you think you should all the time, you're going to spend your whole life shoulding yourself.
Yeah.
When
and
you told me
shooting
that,
on other people
and
too.
shooting on other people. Well, and I'll never forget when you told me that in your office, and I laughed, but I also was like, wow, that's profound. And I use it all the time now. But one of the things that I just ask myself, is this something I want to do, or is this something that I think I should do? And if it's something I think I should do, I don't do it.
Well,
Most
except
of the
for
time.
pay taxes.
Well, yeah. And like,
But really, you
and
do
stuff for
want
my
to
kids.
so that you don't go to jail for not paying taxes.
and there's stuff that I do for my kids that
sure.
I don't really want to do, like go to Dreams over spring break, but I probably should go, so I should myself a little bit, but I should myself a hell of a lot less than I used to.
Yeah.
And, the example that I give when I meet with people is, if I was going to dinner with someone and they're like, oh, I just do not want to go to dinner with Tova tonight, but I guess I probably should. I would not want them to come to dinner.
Yeah.
Like, spare me, you know? Like, so for me, that's a good, like, we do so much. There's so many people who do so much of what they think they should instead of doing what they want.
Yeah.
And if the other person knew you were dreading it or really didn't want to do that, they probably wouldn't want you there.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
okay, number 3, practice allowing. Allowing is about permitting life to be just as it is. Allow your thoughts, allow your emotions, allow things to not go the way you expected. In the words of Abraham Hicks, the art of allowing is the art of finding my alignment, and therefore living in joy no matter what's happening around me. By allowing life to happen, you stop resisting and suffering ceases. I love this one.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Me too.
What do you love about it?
Well, I just love it that, you know, when you stop resisting and suffering ceases, then you are living your life in joy, you know, and it's, there are going to always be things that we don't like or that don't seem right. But if we lean into it and allow it to happen because it's already happening, you know, then it'll help. Because I think it's so easy to get so wadded up with, oh, well, that shouldn't have happened and that shouldn't have happened and it can't happen and this has got to happen now. You know, then you're just, you're not allowing anything.
Yeah. What came to mind, I love all that you just said. What came to mind for me is I see George, my son, my senior boy. He has so many. He's the biggest heart of anybody that ever has walked planet Earth. But he has a really hard time expressing his feelings and emotions. But he has a lot of them. And I remember one time, a long time ago, he was probably in the 3rd grade. And I said, 3rd or 4th grade, I said something about, it just seems like blah, blah, blah. And he said, no, Mom. He was like, if that's how you feel about me, and if that's how you see me, you don't know anything about me. You don't know what's going on inside of me. And I remember thinking, but he never allows his emotions.
Well, don't you think that's because from where he came?
Oh, I'm
and they
sure.
Didn't they?
Oh, nobody gave a shit about those kids in that orphanage.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So then you're a victim of that.
Yeah, he learned how to protect himself.
Yeah,
very much.
If you don't feel, won't hurt.
Yes. So I think for people who have, I think where it says allow your thoughts and allow your emotions, a lot of people, well, and I'm sure you've heard it in counseling, oh, I just don't have a lot of feelings. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I've got a lot of them. I can remember when I was working at Timberlawn and when I was working with the criminals, they had all been really severely abused as kids, and then most of them did drugs and did a bunch of stealing, stuff like that. But they had no idea what they were feeling. They could be bawling, and I'd be like, "What are you feeling?" And they'd say, "I don't know," or "I'm mad," or, and they just, because nobody had ever taught them that it was okay to feel. And then once they started doing it, it was so difficult. These we had Crips, we had Bloods, and these big guys they were just whimpering because we finally got them to
broke
feel.
the dam.
It was
they probably had no idea ever. I mean, nobody had taught them. Nobody had given them permission to feel. So they were grown men who had never experienced their feelings. They probably were never in touch with them.
No, they didn't even know how to define them.
Wow. That is so interesting.
It was really interesting.
That's a good one. Okay, well, we're out of town. Or
Out of town.
We're
Out of Tom.
We're out of Tom. We're out of town. We're actually out of time. Janice has to go make that hard money that she's not attached to.
I got to pay Tom.
Yeah. Exactly. So we'll pick up the next 3 next time.
Okay.
Finish off the next 3 next time. And then we will also talk about what are the benefits of being non-attached. I love this one.
I do too. I think it's great.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex, for giving us
the whole thing about like in yoga, you know, when you that whole meditation thing, really, when you think about it, if you really want to help yourself, get a book on reading, just Google like Eckhart Tolle and look at some of his stuff. It's really, really beneficial.
Yeah. I read his stuff probably 15 years ago, and
me too. I loved it. I do too.
It is a very life-changing perspective that I kind of forgot about. So I'm really grateful to Alex for bringing it back up.
Yeah, me too. I think it's great. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. We hope y'all have an amazing week.